Welcome Aquarius to your in-depth year 2026 forecast. I'm going to share the big themes for the year ahead for you, but then on screen your solar return right at the start of the year, which always provides an influential backdrop for the following 12 months. As you come into this new year, the energy of the eclipses of September 2025 are still very powerful. And there's going to be two more between the signs of Virgo and Pisces throughout the year. And what they've been asking you to do, whilst the North Node has been in the sign of Pisces, and more recently with Saturn, and before that Neptune back in Pisces too now, is just become much more conscious of your values, your self-worth, the foundations of your situation, but also perhaps becoming a bit thriftier, a bit more aware of where you can make economies and where you can plan ahead for your future with the 8th house energies of the solar eclipse of the 21st of September in a canny way. But that particular event was opposed by your traditional ruler of Saturn. And if you have been juggling things generally over the last couple of years, cost of living's gone up a lot, the cost of accommodation, obviously things like utilities, it's not been easy for many people. But you're coming to the end of a huge cycle which began around about 29 and a quarter years ago. And as you begin this new year, Saturn, your traditional ruler, is preparing 6 weeks into the new year to start a new journey. Now, it had a first, if you like, exploratory visit into the sign of Aries, of course, last year, from the 25th of May to the 1st of September, but it's going to be in your third house for the following 2 years. But that cycle coming to a close really crests into those eclipses, those pairings. So if something does need realigning and it's not quite there, and you're still not in the balance that you'd like to be, there may be some more work to be done this year. But what you are going to get is new energy coming in, which brings some fresh opportunities. And you're going to find that the best of the things from the past, which are still salvageable and workable and have a practical benefit, will still be there with you. But some of the things that have run their course will fade away, but they're going to be replaced by some very exciting new possibilities. And part of the reason for this, Aquarius, is that on the 17th of February, the solar eclipse, the first for 19 years in your sign, is a chance to really think about your innate uniqueness. Now, Pluto has been in your sign for 1 year as we go into this new year, full time. Of course, it was in and out. We had the initial 10 weeks in 23, and then it went back into the sign of Capricorn in 24, from the 1st of September through till, I think it was about the 17th of November. But since then, been in your sign and will be there through to 2043 initially. And Pluto here is very much about adapting, it's about evolving, and if we resist the change agenda that Pluto brings, it's not going to be easy. But you're blessed this year because of having this solar eclipse, but also because the North Node returns to your sign for the first time in 18.7 years on the 26th of July, the true North Node. And all of that brings a much greater focus on what makes you unique. Because of the duality of your sign, Saturn very much about appreciation, tradition, continuity and stability, and of course you're a fixed sign, but your other ruler, Uranus, is of course much more innovative, it's much more rebellious, and it's much more looking to disrupt. And Uranus over the last years, all but 5 months last year, has been in a very tender location, and ever really since the middle of May 2018 through to early November that year, and then again from March 2019, I feel home emotional life has been anything but settled. But you know, that eclipse that occurs in your sign clashes, ironically, with Uranus, coming to the end of its journey in the sign of Taurus. It's going to be moving back to Gemini on the 26th of April. So there could be some kind of aftershock with some of the events that you experienced over these previous 7 years. But this time, where you may have been in some ways on the end of other people's attitudes and resistance, what I feel that you can really do with this event is truly liberate yourself from something that just isn't working for you. It may be certain family members just don't meet your standards. It could be people that you've known for a long time, friendships. It may be even in a romantic situation. So there could be the potential for instability, but it's because you're going to be firmer about going for what's important for you. But that has to coexist with the eclipse series between Virgo and Pisces. So you do need to make sure that if you're doing something daring and fresh, you still can maintain your lifestyle, the foundations of it, in a practical way as you do get anything new off the ground. So that is important. Now, Jupiter is the planet of opportunity, and last year it moved into the part of your scope to do with work and being of service to others, providing practical solutions, and also health. Jupiter in the 6th house can be good for our health, particularly in Cancer, where it's exalted, makes us a bit more sensitive of the need to make sure we look after ourselves. But Jupiter, through the first half of this year, can actually give your physical vitality more of a boost, I think, because last year when it moved into Cancer, it was immediately conflicted by the planet of restriction, your traditional ruler Saturn, the greater malefic, afflicted the greater benefic. So that wasn't a great thing. So your nervous energy or physical energy may have still dropped off in the latter part of last year, particularly once Saturn went into its retrograde in Aries in your 3rd house. So exhaustion may have been part of the picture. Now I know that Saturn, after Neptune on the 26th of January, is moving back into Aries this year. They're coming into that exact conjunction on the 18th of February, which is particularly significant. But I feel that how you think, how you express yourself, Saturn in Aries may be technically in its 4, but for you, I think it can give you more confidence to believe in what you're saying, to feel you have a right to a viewpoint, a right to express an opinion, maybe an opinion that is a little different and fresh. The first of those lunar eclipses occurs in Virgo on the 3rd of March, however. Once more, just reminding you to make sure the balance in the books. But what we do have is at the end of February a Mercury retrograde in the sign of Pisces. And it's important through to March the 20th because we have 3 Mercury retrogrades in water signs this year. Very important. The first one is in house 2, everyday money. The second in the sign of Cancer, June the 29th. For 24 days, very much about the practical parts of your life. But the third one's in your sector of goals, ambitions and success. And that's going to occur from October the 24th. So any discussions that you have this year, be it money, be it work, practicalities, appointments, or it is to do with your everyday situation in terms of your life order, just be aware that being open to the emotionality is important, which Mercury doesn't really enjoy, particularly that Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Mercury is not a happy player in Pisces. So you will need to be very much on the ball with managing the precision of things, staying in touch with how things feel, keeping that balance with finances. But then Uranus, your modern ruler, moves back into the sign of Gemini, but forges a stunning alliance with Pluto. If you are one of those Aquarius people who has a great gift for noticing trends, whether it's music, fashion, whether it's to do with food, cookery, whether it's to do with home furnishings, whatever it is, that attunement to where things are heading is really going to be sharpened up. But what you're also getting is that Jupiter is going to leave the practical 6th house and move into your sector of relationships through the last part of this year. This is really exciting. But the North Node, as I mentioned before, inverts back into your sign towards the end of July. But then we have the solar eclipse, again, the first in 19 years, in Leo. But this is a Leo solar eclipse with Jupiter in resonance, but also the quick-witted Mercury. Some fabulous prospects for your relationships in the second half of this year are predicated by this. So if you do go through some turbulence early in the year, if there is a separation, in whatever guise, if you're moving on from something that's not working for you, have the confidence to know there is some fabulous possibilities in the second half of the year. Now, the best relationship we can have is working on the one with ourselves, and that can improve. But also it's understanding what we may want to give, but what we don't want. But also becoming more conscious of what other people need from us. Jupiter is about buoyancy, it's about fortune. A very lucky alliance can develop for you in the second half of this year. And maybe you're going to get the reward financially that you've been striving for, as we have the last of the lunar eclipses, this one in the sign of Pisces, second house, everyday money, which brings the celestial curtain down on the year. Just be aware, however, that Venus is the planet of money as well as relating. It is going into a retrograde for 41 days from the October the 3rd. Don't take anything for granted around your career around this time because of also the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. But perhaps the review you have can in some ways actually be very positive and throw up some opportunities. The Saturn retrograde, obviously that's very important for you. That's July the 26th to December the 10th. It's going to invert 7 degrees, so it stretches out to 14 degrees. But I think in general, even if you do find with Saturn in the third house, there's a few tensions with siblings, with neighbours in your community, you may find that you're becoming a bit more serious about what your ideas are, what your beliefs are. If people don't align with you, you're not necessarily going to take a backward step, particularly with that very militant Aquarius solar eclipse on the 17th of February, providing that backdrop for the first 6 months of the year. So all of that's playing out for you, Aquarius, but let's have a look at your solar return. But just before I go into that, I want to share with you about my unique offer. You can order your personal natal forecast for year 2026 now, and I'll give you the rest of this year free. But also you'll get 30% off the individual prices, and you'll get your life roadmap report in my special package. That really helps you to understand the patterns that have played out in your life so far, all of us. It's totally unique to each person, but understanding those patterns and matching them to the forecast will help you to make your moves in the new year much more shrewdly. But also in my special offer, you'll get your free general zodiac forecast for each of the 12 signs, but also your Chinese forecast, your Vedic forecast, and your love forecast too in my special booklets. Please see the link below for more. We need to be conscious of your two rulers. Uranus starts the year in the sign of Taurus, and of course we have Saturn in Pisces. They're actually on really good terms. It's interesting that because Uranus in the fourth house could see you work from home, adapting a property to add more value, and Saturn certainly can make you very canny. But let's look at the position of Mercury. Mercury for you is in a very futuristic part of your scope, one which asks you to think about your long-term plan, your friendships, your network. If there are certain people you're not aligning well with, and it could just be a particular pal who starts to take you for granted, it may be that something you thought was a good idea financially suddenly doesn't seem to stack up. Just be conscious that Mercury is clashing not just with Saturn, which can be very restrictive and make us a bit worrisome, but also with Neptune that can be very draining. So if you've got people around you that don't really align with your values or in some ways inhibit you, just be conscious that those are relationships that you need to really reflect on. But what you do have at the start of this year is a trio of players in house 12. The Sun is always in your 12th house, at the turn of the year. And very often I think Aquarius people can be very nostalgic. Obviously New Year's celebrations can be very much about setting intentions, being very jolly, but you may find yourself actually feeling very much focused on people from your past, reminiscing. There could be some kind of reunion, it could be fun, but you know, I don't want you to take this in an absolute sense because it depends on your natal chart. But if there is someone from your past that you still have got affection for, who you're not in contact with, whether it's from them or you, even if it's a friend, there could be some kind of rapprochement at this time, or perhaps throughout 2026. But I must stress it doesn't have to be romantic. The other thing that could happen at the turn of the year, if you are attracted to someone, you could have a bit of a fling, but not necessarily want other people to know about it. So some kind of clandestine connection is possible too. But also, as we come into this new year, we do have the midpoint between the Sun at 10:34 Capricorn and the Moon at 6 degrees 43 in Gemini, which is very good for you. It's very warm and friendly, forging a great link to Pluto, encouraging you to keep being enterprising. But the midpoint between the two of them is the shortest point around the chart, and that's very influential, and that's very close to Saturn. So I think one of the big themes of this year, particularly with that 12th house alliance of Venus, Mars and the Sun, is make sure you are a bit protective about who you're connecting with. Once Jupiter moves into Leo, I think you will feel an uplift, you will appreciate a buoyancy. There will be much better prospects for you in the second half of the year. But I think the first half of the year could see you teasing out some situations which really still don't work for you very well. The dependent friend, the person who's very needy but never asks how you are. It could be a financial situation that's a drain on you and you're not really enjoying whatever that drain could be. Perhaps it's some of your lifestyle choices in terms of subscriptions. Perhaps you're a little bit loath to let go of some of these, but think big about what really feeds your soul, because that's the heart of what astrology can help us with. And just know, with Uranus moving into a much more enterprising part of your chart, followed by Jupiter, followed by the node back into your sign, followed by a stunning solar eclipse in Leo on the 12th of August. As long as you're attuned emotionally to managing finance, practicalities and work, this could be a year, particularly in the second half, which really sees so many exciting developments for you. If you'd like to have a one-to-one with me, Aquarius, please check out my testimonials below. You can visit my new website at patrickarundell.com. Lots of free information. You can get your daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes. But also you can enjoy my three-card tarot as much as you like. It really is terrific, if I say so myself. And sign up for your free daily horoscope fired to your device. Have a fabulous year 2026.